Here we go. Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. It's Saturday still. It's Saturday, baby. It's Saturday. And this is video 2 of 2. Did you see the first one? If not, check it out. It's me having a bit of a rant. And I'm done with that topic and that subject. I will not be entertaining it anymore. So anyway, let's get straight into the meat and potatoes. As, yes, we are talking about the Jay Slater case again, but we're talking about it for a reason, because there seems to be some mixed messages out there with respect of, like, things that I've said. Like I said yesterday about the Maruba boat situation. You know, I wasn't stating that the Maruba boat situation definitely had no involvement in the Jay Slater case. What I was saying is that there isn't enough proof, in my opinion, to 100% say that there was something to do with the Maruba boat that was connected to the Jay Slater case. You know, we've got lots of information about the Maruba boat. My biggest question is, why would a boat that was being used for nefarious reasons opt in to a completely voluntary public tracking database? It really didn't need to do that. So, look, who knows? There might be information that comes out later, but, you know, as we are all chasing for answers and we're chasing to see clues and things that might lead us to figure out what really did happen to Jay, and, you know, think about alternatives to the story that's being pushed, because make no bones about it, I'm not buying into, and I've always said this, that Jay Slater, with no aggravating factors, just simply walked himself into that steep ravine. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it. I believe that there was aggravating factors, and I believe that some of the people around this case are 100% showing that the likelihood is that there was something else to this, and it is the likes, in fact, of Chris. And when I say Chris, a lot of you will know. Now, I'm not saying that Chris is involved in anything nefarious in terms of the Jay Slater case, but what I will say is, and even Mark Williams Thomas, for instance, Mark Williams Thomas made some statements, and I've said time and time again that he should be held accountable for what he said. He should be pulled aside. I think there should be an investigation done by British police, and they should pull him in and request why specific things that he said was said and where that information come from. Point being that it was from him that he would go on to say that Jay Slater was armed when he left the B&B. He would say that he was scared when he left the B&B. He didn't want to return to the B&B. So these are all things that have been perpetuated from Mark Williams Thomas, and I believe that because even law enforcement over in Spain were not able to 100% conclude what happened to Jay, they were only able to say what the most likely story was, what is the most likely version of events, and of course they're going to say that it is ultimately a British person in a foreign country, and if you've got enough people around pushing the story that they did, that Jay was, you know, in a bad way, he was partying, he didn't want to leave, he wanted the party to continue, he goes to this B&B, he leaves, he makes some poor choices, heads in the wrong direction. You've got all of these people who make it seem like it was indeed Jay Slater's fault. What happened to Jay was Jay's fault. We're washing our hands of it, and that was straight out the gate, at a point where these people around Jay could have done things to potentially change the outcome of this, because, again, it even come out of Lucy's mouth herself. The first 48 hours after someone goes missing are the absolute crucial. She had turned around and criticised the fact that she felt that law enforcement were not acting quick enough. So again, it was all about pushing the blame onto Jay, pushing the blame onto law enforcement. They're not acting quick enough. Jay is out in the mountains. He's hurt. He's, you know, painting this picture of someone who is in imminent danger. But yet the reality is all of these people had the ability themselves to do what needed to be done had Jay been that close to the B&B. Straight after that call was made, action should have sprung into action and things could have been different. if that's the story, and if something hadn't happened to Jay prior to all this, like an overdose, for instance. I've not ruled that out, and I feel that there is a high potential that Jay potentially succumbed to something else earlier, and there's possibly some people who are covering something up. And look, ultimately, we've seen it happen in the past, we'll see it happening again in the future. But back to Chris Tenerife. Chris was boots on the ground. Chris was boots on the ground. He was doing his walks. He was walking around this area. He was walking around the pass. He was walking exactly where Jay was walking himself. And he himself, at ground zero, was questioning things. He was asking why Jay Slater had walked where he'd walked when there was safer routes to take. Absolutely. And that is the question of it. Why would somebody, if we want to go down the route of saying he was compos mentis, he was walking with a purpose, he knew what he was doing, he wasn't under the influence of anything, and it was just a case of, I'm going to walk back to my people and I'm going to go this way. Why would Jay have placed himself in a position that would have put his life at risk? You know, we heard there were searchers out there. There were searchers. There was people searching out there. There was people who weren't climbers. They weren't people. These were people in the public, people who were family members. They were out there. Not one of them were injured. We want to paint this picture like this area is dangerous and it's imminent danger if you step off the road, you know, and Jay fell this way, but nobody else did. And from what I can see and what I've been searching up, there is no other recorded stories that I can find. And correct me if I'm wrong and point me in the direction, I'll apologise. But I can't find anything where any young person, for instance, has fell down this ravine. This is a popular place for people to hike and trek. They have now put a paywall on this place. So they haven't stopped people going in there. They haven't said, no, this is dangerous and we need to stop the place. They have actively now put a paywall because they know that more people are going to come in here. It's actually going to bring more people and they can put a price tag on it and coin in on the Jay Slater aftermath. And because that's what's going to happen. It is going to go down that route where people are going to be drawn to this area to see whether there'll be a degree of, can we find something? Is there going to be other people? But this area is somewhere where people walk, and people walk all the time. Even on that morning Jay went missing, there was cars on the road. It was busy. There was people about. And they're trying to paint this picture like he was in the fucking arse end of the Back and Beyond, out in the middle of nowhere, away from anything. Like he was in the Sahara Desert. Do you know what I mean? And that wasn't the case. He was literally 20, 30 minutes away from civilization. He could have walked to somebody. He would have been within walking distance of someone. He would have been within walking distance of a car. And the fact that people who were boots on the ground earlier on were even themselves questioning the choices that Jay made was valid. But for them to turn around and subsequently do a 180 and basically say, no, there's nothing to see here, would suggest to me that there was a reason for that. There was a reason that they have decided to change their mind. There's a reason that they have decided that, no, we cannot continue down this path. We've got to stop. We've got to block it. And we've got to go down this same narrative that everything was simply Jay's fault. And I ain't buying it. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you all live tomorrow. We're going to have a watch party.